Hello again, guys. It is I, Frieza700, and we are back with some Alpha Legion lore. This time we're going to be going over their military tactics and organization, both pre-Horus Heresy and after the Horus Heresy. Now, the Alpha Legion has always been my most favorite chapter. That's a Chaos chapter because of the way they work. They're so fucking odd. And I said this in the last video that they are totally weird and totally random. Well, now we're going to get into it. How do they really organize? Like, what do they specialize in? That's the big thing is, well, if they're mostly assassins and spies and operatives, wouldn't that mean that they don't really have any special units in their army? Their army would be a lot like an ultramarine army in the sense that it's just straight up regular marines, tactical marines. But that's actually wrong. Here's the interesting thing about the Alpha Legion is that they're like the ultramarines. They train in every aspect of war. So they train on how to be jump troopers, they train how to be heavy weapon specialists, they train in how to be normal troopers. They even train how to be in perfect scouts and assassins. But here's the thing. They don't only train to be okay at every field of war. They actually train to be specialists in every field of war. So an ultramarine, he can pick up a heavy bolter and knows somewhat what he's doing. He knows, okay, this is gonna punch through armor. This is gonna mow down units. Great. An Alpha Legion, no matter who, could pick up a heavy bolter and go, I know directly how to aim down a sight. I know exactly how to clean this gun. I know how to reload it. I even know how to trick shot with this fucking thing. And that's the difference between the Alpha Legion and all the other Space Marine Legions. Like, really, the Raven Guards specialize in jump troopers. They don't care for everything else. Then you got the fucking Corn Worshippers who only really focus on melee. They don't care to learn sniping. But the Alpha Legion is so fucking weird and unique that they actually specialize in everything. And they make sure their training is super thorough. So when we talk about their organization, just know at any given time, they could have the least amount of specialists, or they could have the most amount of specialists out of all the Space Marine groups in the galaxy. And that's because they can change their roles to suit the needs. This is the most dangerous thing about the Alpha Legion, is that they are so fickle, they're so maneuverable, they could really trick you in their maneuverability. Like, you can see them coming at you and you'll go, oh, okay, they're just straight up normal tactical marines. That's actually not true. Every one of those guys, like just one of them, is an elite sniper, elite fucking heavy weapon specialist, elite demolitions charge man, elite medic. Like, every single one of them is a specialist at everything. So really, depending what the situation is, they can adapt accordingly. And this fits into their military tactics. So when they draw up a plan for fucking with the Imperium or fucking any opponent, really, they actually consider multiple solutions, and they actually include all those solutions in their battle plan. Now, here's the interesting thing. Pre-Horus Heresy, during their time in the Imperium, they actually were very unorthodox. They would actually allow any soldier, no matter rank and file, to voice his opinion on the matter. Like, you're sitting there debriefing everybody going, okay, enemy fortress is here, we're gonna hit them here, and all of a sudden the fucking newbie can just speak up and go, oh, sir, what if we just snipe the general from this hill over here because it's almost as tall as the spire? And the other Marines would actually consider that as a solution. They would actually listen to him and go, okay, that might actually be a good idea. Whereas if you're in the Ultramarines or if you're in any other Space Marine group, they would go, shut the fuck up, idiot. Fucking recruit, you don't know shit. This is where the Alpha Legion is very interesting, because not only do they take word from military personnel, they even listen to their serfs. They even listen to their boot shiners. That's also another specialty that they specialize in. So every Alpha Marine, every Alpha Legion Marine, my bad, not Alpha Marine, every Alpha Legion Marine also specializes in non-combat roles as well. I forgot to add that. So they're professional cooks, professional boot shiners, they're professional everything. So, sorry by the way if you notice my voice keeps getting high-pitched, that's because I was having hiccups earlier and it really fucked my voice up. So, with that being said though, what happens is the Alpha Legion is very well versed in their opponent before the fighting starts. So they will look at your base, and they're not like the Eldar. They're not like the Eldar in the sense that the Eldar will do a tactic that's so complex and has so many layers that you won't see the effects of it till way later. And they don't have that complexity like Tzeentch either, where they'll invade a world and then 200 years later, that world becomes a very significant, very important target. No. They're not like the Eldar in the sense that they'll just assassinate some boy and then retreat. And then it turns out that that boy would have been like this great general who could have purged their faction. No, they don't do that. Their tactics are very simple. Very, very simple. And after the Horus Heresy, these tactics are still the same. But here's the thing. During the Horus Heresy, they functioned very well together. They were very coordinated because they were always together. Now, after the Horus Heresy, there's very rarely any formations. You'll very rarely see one, even more than one, Alpha Marine. So, how are they doing the same tactics then? Well, it's very simple. They infiltrate, and they still pull it off. Like, their goal could simply be, we're gonna kill this commissar, because the troops are only the troops because they listen to this commissar. But the general, they'll turn their backs on the general because they don't fear him. Well, an Alpha Marine will just sit there and go, okay, well, here's many ways we can kill him. Let's do it. But at the same time, later on in the planet, someone else is doing something else to that planet. And to the Imperium, and to us outsiders who are reading these books and looking at the games, it looks as though someone's coordinating them. This is the thing. After the Horus Heresy, we don't know what the fuck's going on with the Alpha Legion. We don't know who's organizing them. We don't know why are they organizing. We don't know how they're organizing. Because here's the thing. They're super individualistic, so one Alpha Marine will be his own little covert ops. He'll have his own cultists, his own infiltrators, his own everything. He's pretty much going to do things by himself. But yet, one planet could have multiple Alpha Marines on the planet, and they're all contributing to some grander scheme that just destroys the planet or leaves it helpless to the tides of chaos. This is where a lot of people will more or less say that there's like a warlord or mastermind behind it. I don't think so. I actually think, this is a theory, that the Alpha Legion just has one goal, and that's to fuck shit up. That's all they do. And you could see it from a very individualistic scale, that each individual is determined to do one thing. Fuck the enemy. But because of all this individualism and all these individuals having the same goal, and every individual is trained so well that each individual does the same tactics, it looks as though they're forming as a collective. But they're not. They're actually individuals. Each one is dealing with his own set of problems. And this is actually interesting because there's a legendary Alpha Legion Marine known as Fokron. Now, Fokron, an Inquisitor was chasing Fokron. He kept hearing these tales of this name, Fokron, from all these heretics that he kept catching and killing. And it turns out these were operatives of the Alpha Legion. Well, this Inquisitor finally discovered the hideout after years of finding. He finally gets the hideout of Fokron. And he comes in there guns blazing. Finally, he gets in there and he finds the Alpha Legion Marine himself. And just before he fights him, he sees something very, very interesting. Turns out, Focron is actually an alias. And in fact, every Alpha Marine on that planet that the Inquisitor didn't discover was all named Focron. So it looked as though one operative was attacking the whole planet, when reality was it was multiple operatives all operating under the same name, and they were all trained to think the same way, so they all did the same tactics that all contributed to the Inquisitor mistaking it for one guy. This is interesting, and this is mind-boggling, because right before the Inquisitor died, he saw an Alpha Legion operative come out looking exactly like the Inquisitor. And this is the most horrifying thing about the Alpha Legion, is that when they kill you, you and your family and everyone around you will not know that you died, because they will undergo plastic surgery to look, sound, and act exactly like you. Now, there's many, many reasons why they would do this, and this is a part of the military tactics. By operating as an Inquisitor, in this case a Focron, so after the Inquisitor died and the hideout was snuffed out by the Imperium, they dropped the alias Focron. They no longer wanted to use that name. So they wanted to make it feel for the Imperium as if they finally killed Focron in the Inquisitor's dying breath. The reality is, the Inquisitor is still alive in the Imperial records, but that's not the Inquisitor. That's actually an Alpha Legion operative acting as an Inquisitor. Now, the operative is going under hypnosis, so he actually feels like as if he is the Inquisitor. He has the memories, he has everything. But there's a kill switch in his head. And we see this later on in the Horus Heresy, where an Ultramarine, I believe it was an Ultramarine, sorry if I'm misquoting here because I don't have the book in front of me because I had to return it one day. That's a long story. But a Ultramarine who was a recruit was quickly captured by the Alpha Legion and implemented a hypnotic kill switch that would make him assassinate one of the Ultramarine leaders when this switch was activated. Well, in modern day 40K, this is the same tactic. There's a kill switch hidden inside you that once an Alpha Legion activates it, you become an assassin. You will kill whoever you are targeted to kill. But if you are an actual operative, there might be a kill switch that they might put into you in case they need to hypnotize you. And if that kill switch is activated, you resume your normal personality where you're now back the original Alpha Legion Marine that you once were. This is very interesting. And I love the Alpha Marine Legions because they're so weird. Now, organization, again, we're going to kind of bounce back and forth between military tactics and organization. But tactics and organization. So, organization, they are kind of divided. So, GW claims that Dawn of War is canon. Okay. Like, Dawn of War was a great game. Dawn of War 2, good game. Dawn of War 3, bad game. But Dawn of War 1, the very first one, not the DLCs. The DLCs were actually really good. But the first one was kinda canon-wise really bad. Because we saw an Alpha Legion warband that wasn't Alpha Legion at all. In fact, it was pretty fucking different compared to the normal Alpha Legion we've always seen. Like, one, they didn't even wear the colors. They just wore normal black. So they looked like another Legion that we'll talk about later. But also, their warlord was just bloodthirsty. He was like a corn worshiper. And they used a lot of demons that the Alpha Legion typically doesn't do. Like, again, the whole goal of the Alpha Legion is to be discreet. And for a Space Marine chapter to find them, and then they go into some full-scale war, this is not characteristics of the Alpha Legion. This is why I'm kind of scared that GW said that this was canon, because who knows what they're going to do to the Alpha Legion later on. But at the same time, if we're to accept it as lore, this does play a part into what I'm saying is that the Alpha Legion is divided. They aren't coordinated, they just happen to be like-minded. This warband in Dawn of War 1 is an exception. This one we could probably say has probably been tricked by some sorcerer or something like that. But for every other warband, we can tell that they are very fractious. Like, they look up to certain ideals and others don't. But we'll get into that later. We'll go into the individual warbands in another video. For now, this has been Military Tactics and Organization. I hope you guys enjoyed. But just know that when you fight the Alpha Legion, they will misdirect you. They will always change their numbers. So before, you thought they had 0 heavy weapon specialists, a ton of recon, and a few demolition charge guys. Cool. So you prepare for that. You're like, okay, let's get a lot of infantry, and let's be sure to set up a kill zone. Well, all of a sudden, change of plans. They have an entire force of recon and heavy weapon specialists. So they can easily change things, and they also misdirect. Like, they will have hidden agents inside your army. So there may be a commissar next to you, and you're the general, and this commissar has been with you for a few years. You trust him. All of a sudden, you hear an Alpha Legion Marine scream, "Codex Astartes!" And all of a sudden, for whatever reason, your commissar puts his pistol against the back of your head and just blows your brains out. And then, before your troops can kill him, he kills a few more Imperial Guard before he dies. This not only demoralizes, but destabilizes the enemy. And then, even better, turns out that this guy who just ordered an exterminatus on a planet isn't actually an Inquisitor. He is an Inquisitor in uniform, and he may look, sound, and have the name of the Inquisitor, but he is not actually the Inquisitor. He is actually an Alpha Legion. And this could help them in a lot of ways, because then they could kill more people with a pen than they could with the sword. This is why I love the Alpha Legion. And we could talk about them for hours, actually. But I'm going to end this video here, because really I'm just starting to feel like I'm rehashing the same points over and over again, which is my bad. I hope you guys like, comment, subscribe, and see you guys next time. Comment down below what you guys think I should do next. But letting you know that I am live streaming later today in the afternoon around 3 p.m. Just letting you know that. Besides that, I hope you guys have a great day.